Hey everyone, I'm so glad to say that I'm back. I'm bespectacled, as you can see, and I'm better than ever, and I'm reading again. So I couldn't be happier than that. Things took a lot longer than expected, as you may have noticed, but I am reading again, and I just finished reading my first book in like 6 months. So I'm really, really happy about that. I wanted to thank everyone who just encouraged me on my last video when things were happening. It really helped to hear that other people have been through things like that. And it did give me a lot of hope. And especially Karen, thank you so much for checking in on me in the middle of the whole thing and just giving me that encouragement that I really needed. So yeah, you can see there have been some changes. Finally, I got a prescription that works for me. So these are my glasses, and I am wearing them all the time now, not just when I'm reading. And they're very cool. So basically, they have special prisms in them, which sort of bend the light in such a way that it moves the focus out from my eyes a little bit. So instead of having to focus really, really close up, which my eyes don't like to do, it moves the focus out so that I don't have to cross my eyes quite so much to read. And it's just wonderful. It's so much better to read now. I still get eye strain, but it's a lot better. It's miles better. And they're really, really high tech. So they're progressives. And so they have the most bending of the light at the bottom, which is where I would be reading. Then there's a middle range, and it smoothly transitions into less and less prism as it goes to the middle. And then there's a distance thing at the top. So they're really, really high tech. I think they're the highest tech things I own that don't need to be plugged in or have a battery. And I just love them. They just improve my life so much. It took a while to kind of get used to them. They kind of make everything look weirdly round at first, and you have to get used to it. But I absolutely really love them because they let me read. So and as far as like contacts and stuff, I thought I'd be able to get contacts, but because they have this prism and their progressives and all that, sadly I can't wear contacts. But I do know that a lot of people eventually, like a long way down the line, stop wearing the glasses all the time and just wear them for reading. I hope maybe I can get to that point one day just because I'm still so unused to wearing them. I lay down all the time, like I just plop down and I hit my glasses all the time. And it's funny how often I like run into things or I forget to take them off when I'm like, I don't know, like gonna wash my face or whatever. So maybe one day I'll be back with no glasses. But for now, I really like them. I don't mind them at all. Yeah, as for the look, how do you all like them? I think they're okay. They kind of remind me of like an early 90s journalist or something. Like I feel like a lady reporter, or maybe just a little bit like John Denver, maybe. So I don't mind them. I had to select them under extreme duress. I was really late for an appointment that was following my doctor's appointment. I didn't think the doctor's appointment would take so long. And I ended up having like about 5 minutes to choose glasses, like a new frame. So I just put on a whole bunch of frames that I just kind of chose these randomly. But so far they've worked out really well. And I'm glad. I was a little nervous because I had to choose a really, really big lens because of the progressive lens. You're not allowed to have small lenses, but I think it's worked out. So I'm really happy about that. Um, and so I was gonna upload my comeback video yesterday, which was Bloomsday, but I was so close to finishing my first ever book this year. Or was it this year? I think it was this year, reading it anyway, that I decided to wait until I finished the book. And I finished it. And it was great. I read Atonement by Ian McEwan. And I have audiobooks to thank for this. So I was listening to lots of audiobooks. And one of the things that I got a lot more used to audiobooks as time went on. I grew to appreciate them more. I still prefer reading by eye, I guess. But one of the cool things about audiobooks is just that it's so random what you end up bumping into, especially if you are borrowing books from a library. What's available is kind of like, it's always this hodgepodge of things. And so I ended up listening to this book on Chesil Beach by Ian McEwan. And I was so biased against Ian McEwan because I didn't know who he was. I guess I sort of had this impression that he was a very different kind of writer or something. And I don't know how or why I got this book. I think it was just because it was what was available. And I listened to it and I adored it so much that I actually bought a physical copy to read when I was able to. Um, and just the amount of psychological insight, the the very real, he just has a really good way of capturing real human reactions where the characters feel extremely real. I also like that he has no villains. Usually his books seem to be, now that I've read two of them, seem to be based on sort of not so much a misunderstanding, but like how one single moment can change a whole life or multiple lives. And sort of like it kind of calls it to our attention to the fact that our lives are so contingent. Like it's like that movie Sliding Doors that was really famous a few years ago. One little thing changes and your whole life changes. And I kind of like that sort of thing. And he always has interesting sort of I don't know, sort of, he's really good at recording like how people would think realistically, like how they go through anguish or different thought processes, how they can have misunderstandings, and everyone's completely reasonable. And from the same data, they can come to very different conclusions. And I thought that was really interesting. So I bought On Chesil Beach, which was the one that I listened to. And then I was kind of getting like able to read more and more, and I broke a cardinal rule of mine. I read a second book by the same author in a row. I always try not to do that, and also not to read two books in a row that are like the same time setting or same, like that are too much the same, because I find that if you do that, the books kind of run into one another. Like you can't distinctly remember each book or each story because they're too similar. But I was so excited that I discovered this new writer, and I thought, oh yeah, like Atonement. I've heard of Atonement. I don't know. I just had a complete misconception of what it was. So I bought it, read it on my iPad. I still read with really, really big type, but it's so much easier now. And I'm up to the point where I can read for an hour at a time, which, as far as I'm concerned, is I'm fixed. So I read Atonement quite slowly because I started when I wasn't able to read that much at a time. And then it was sort of like my recovery book. So I started being able to read more and more in a session. So it's not a very long book, but for me it took really long to read. And it was really good. I think I still preferred On Chesil Beach, which, by the way, is very explicit in a certain way. It's about the sex life of a young couple that is recently married. Basically, it's one moment, one day in their relationship, but it's very, very interesting. But it's quite explicit, so I can kind of see how Atonement is the bigger hit because it's a little bit less sort of adult. But I still really liked it for the same reasons I liked On Chesil Beach. That you sort of get these inside moments for these characters. Although there's, I won't talk too much about what it's about because it's one of those books where talking about it too much can ruin it. So I won't say more. But I really enjoyed it, and mostly I really like Ian McEwan's sort of point of view. He's very sort of, everyone's trying their best, nobody's a villain, but things still don't go well. So it's these really sort of tragic, so far, very tragic, sort of emotionally gripping, agonizing narratives that nevertheless I can't stop reading. They're really sad. But I guess it's because sometimes you read something and the idea is supposed to be that, oh, it could have been otherwise, and that's so frustrating, and that makes me feel all the worse. Usually I don't really like stories that are based on a single misunderstanding. Like, just if someone just gave a single phone call, the entire thing would be solved, that kind of thing. A lot of times you see it in movies, but it's also like in Romeo and Juliet too. Like if Romeo just waited like 5 extra minutes, he would have seen that Juliet was fine, that kind of thing. Usually, it doesn't actually make me feel that the tragedy is worse. It just frustrates me. But somehow Ian McEwan is able to make use of that kind of device extremely effectively. Um, but that's all I really wanted to say. I didn't have a lot specifically to say about Atonement or Ian McEwan. I just wanted to say hi to everyone again and say that I'm back and I'm here. And I might not be reading quite as quickly as I did in the past yet, but I am here and I'm hoping to make more videos reading, and I'm hoping to comment on your videos and see what everyone else is up to. And I'm just really happy to be back. So I hope everyone is having a great summer, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.